Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Jolie. So with Addie's USA, we partner with over 50 therapists throughout the state. And so we really wanted to highlight you and talk about, your experience with Addie's, but also just learn a little bit more about you personally. So can you, again, share your name? We know it's Jolie, but if you could share your name and title, and then anything that you would like us to know about you, what you do for fun, what you like to do on the weekends, those kinds of things.
Sure. Yes, my name is Jolie Vega. I'm a licensed independent mental health practitioner or counselor therapist, and I have a private practice in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm also a veteran myself, so I'm passionate about serving the military community and their family members and loved ones. Um, I would say on the weekends, I like to watch my kids play sports, spend time outside, and travel when I can. I also like any type of outlet where I can be a little bit creative.
Good, good. So what's your favorite place to travel? I know that's a side question, but
Sure. Well, I've actually been to all 50 states, so that was a big milestone. But I would have to say my favorite state to travel in was Utah,
Mm.
and I would say outside of the US, Greece.
Oh wow, yes.
Yeah.
I always wanted to go there. It's gorgeous. At least according
Yeah.
to the picture, so that's good.
Yes.
Okay. So you've been with Addie's for at least a year, I would say, and you know that we work with not only veterans or active duty military members, but we also work with their families. What stands out to you regarding Addie's USA and the work that we do?
Yeah, something I really appreciate about Addie's is that they make therapy accessible, um, with a few different things. First, offering telehealth and having providers, spread out throughout Nebraska. Um, it's also confidential, which I know is really important to the populations that we serve. And then also financially accessible, because of the nonprofit status and the grant funding, which I think is really important.
Yes, for sure. So yes, we always try to remove any barriers that we can for confidentiality's sake, especially for those who are active duty members. And so the other part again is financial stress and making sure that our military families don't feel that kind of angst when they're trying to get, support. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a therapist, what are one or two tips that you can share with people regarding trauma and post-traumatic
I think
management?
that the biggest, I don't know if it's a tip, but just encouragement to seek support. Because if you're struggling right now, it can and will get better, with the proper support. And so to just challenge any belief you have about being an exception or um, just the way things are going, that they have to be this way forever. So just kind of offering that hope that it will and can get better.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. A lot of people in general are afraid of therapy for
Mhm.
whatever reason, and especially our military community. And so if we can encourage them that, reaching out and asking for support is not a weakness, but it's a strength, I think that would be super helpful.
Absolutely.
All right. So can you describe your own therapeutic approach and the frameworks that you work within?
Yeah. So my approach tends to be pretty eclectic because, everybody has unique needs and they're all coming with different backgrounds and situations and events that have contributed to their current symptoms. And so in the beginning with therapy, a lot of it is assessing symptoms and kind of gathering information so that we can come up with a starting point that we both feel good about. And
Mhm.
so, some clients come in and we're starting with, let's just get some coping tools under our belt. And then we can dive into, the harder stuff or the trauma if they've experienced trauma that's bringing them in. Whereas, other people might have, maybe they've been in therapy before and they're coming with, a pretty solid foundation, then we might jump in a little bit sooner. But regardless of what approach I use, it's all trauma informed and trauma focused, which is another thing that I like about Addie's is that the programs that they have and the providers they work with and the modalities they use are all evidence-based.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So what coping strategies would you suggest for clients who are reluctant to use medication? And let's just say, because there are a lot of people who say that they just want to do therapy, which is great. Sometimes you need a combination of both, but for those who might be reluctant, what advice would you give them?
Well, I always think it's good to ask questions when it comes to your health, whether it's physical or mental. And I understand that hesitancy, again, especially if you're still currently serving. I know that there's some stigma and just some fear about how that impacts career. And for clients who are a little bit hesitant to consider medication, we usually start with, again, like a solid foundation of coping skills, seeing what, self-care you're currently implementing because we're treating the whole person. And then we kind of see like how good can it get with these coping skills and implementing regular self-care and come up with some sort of benchmark of how are we going to know that we're needing a little bit more. And so, for myself and my clients, that's usually kind of like a joint decision that we're making together. And, I always encourage clients to, if you are considering using medication as a tool in your toolbox when dealing with post-traumatic stress or trauma, um, just schedule a consultation because you're making an informed decision. So you need to gather information. You don't have to commit right away. And so kind of going with um, that strategy of can we at least agree to just get more information and see if this could be the right choice for you?
Yeah, no, that's great advice. It's that old adage of knowledge is power, you don't have
Yeah,
to do anything with it, but the more that you know, the more informed decisions you can make from that point.
absolutely.
Good. Okay. So what about you? How do you handle like self-care and stress management? Especially with being a trauma therapist, I think that, us in this field, we can take on a lot. And so what do you do to make sure that you're well balanced and taking care of yourself?
Well, something that I do regularly is walking. I like getting outside. I always feel better when I'm outside more. So I walk my dog a lot. I walk with my family and my friends, and so it's a good way to connect with other people too. And then, of course, staying off my phone is always helpful. And so those are some of the ways that I decompress and yeah, cope with whatever the day has brought.
Yeah, no, I like that. So you're talking about a couple of things. One, you're connecting with nature, which is also always healthy, that vitamin
Right.
D when the weather's nice
Hmm.
here. And then also that social connection, which is so important. I think when those of us get into depressive modes or, we're experiencing trauma and we don't want to really talk about it, we tend to isolate, which makes
Hmm.
it worse. And so I think those are great tips, to get out in nature and then make sure that you're connecting with other people.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, great. Any last thoughts or comments that you have? I appreciate your time. And this was a great interview and we love having you as part of our network. Do you have any last thoughts or words for our audience?
Oh, I'm just excited. I'm excited to connect with other military members and their loved ones, and really honored to be a part of At Ease and looking forward to seeing what we can do together.
Yes, we're super excited. So Jolie's one of our therapists in Lincoln, and we have a footprint here in Omaha, and then we have several therapists throughout the state and other counties and other towns. But we're really looking to expand that, and so Jolie is going to be someone who's going to help us, do more outreach and expand um, our, I guess, our marketing and then our footprint in Lincoln so that people know that we're out there to support them as well. So thank you so much, Jolie, for taking time out today. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Gail.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.